start this hearing at 6 o'clock. It's a hearing for the proposed ordinance amending the section in our Unified Development Ordinance concerning livestock and fowl. And please let the record show that Supervisors Cassiola, Cow, and Magnesia are in attendance. I think we have to have anybody sworn in who wants to give testimony. Again, if it's just an opinion, yeah, you don't have to be sworn in for that. If you just want to talk about it, we're pretty sure we have the ordinance in pretty good shape right now. But if it's something you have formal information that can be challenged by somebody as opposed to just your opinion, then you have to be sworn in. Otherwise, you're welcome to talk anytime. So does anybody have any kind of formal presentation to make? All right. Everyone has a copy of this. Chris, I think we talked about taking some of these things out of permits. Would you go over that before they even have to ask those questions?
Sure.
Changes from the recommendations from the Planning Commission and those kind of items.
Yeah. We'll start with that. We'll start with the Planning Commission.
Is your microphone on?
So we can go through the new ordinance with the red line changes.
Unless you have a problem with it, you want to see.
Well,
The red lines are changing. If you agree with that, then.
yeah. I mean, they're just not on here. They're not on the sheets in the back.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're not. If they're gone, they're gone.
I mean, there's none of the changes are made on these. This is the same as it was last Thursday. This paper is not.
Bruce, is that?
Okay. I don't think Bruce had a copy of since the Planning Commission just met on Thursday of last week, and we didn't incorporate the comments until today. I don't think Bruce had a copy of.
We're going to make copies. Can you do that, Bruce, while we're just getting underway? Chris will explain some.
Now, which is the today version now?
Put a letter A on top of it or something, so everybody's looking at the same thing.
Is that the one for Chris that has this red line?
Yes.
Okay.
There's red lines on it. It's the changes.
But they want to see the finished product.
Just so we're all working on the same thing.
Bruce, would you mind making copies for you?
But I think they want copies.
So, to summarize, when the Planning Commission met, they recommended 3 major changes. The first was to, under the current ordinance, roosters are prohibited in any area under 10 acres, and they recommended that buck and billy goats be added to that prohibition list. And with respect to the storage or the homes for larger animals, they recommended that the setback distance for the structures be reduced from 100 feet to the nearest boundary to 25 feet. And they also recommended that the prohibitions on goats not apply to dwarf or pygmy varieties of goats. They also suggested the addition of a violation and penalty provision, but that is addressed in other sections of the ordinance. So I don't know that that's necessary. So, in accordance with those recommendations, there have been a few changes to the ordinance. One of the things that came up was that we got information that some people with smaller lots may wish to have chickens on their property, and that an acre requirement is too large. So based on information that smaller area is necessary, we put a requirement in that as long as you can meet the minimal setback requirements and have enough room to put in an adequate sized chicken coop and a chicken run, if your backyard can meet that requirement, you can have no more than 6 chickens. We made this change recommended by the Planning Commission, reducing the setback for the structures for larger animals from 100 feet to 25 feet.
Chris,
Yes.
under 5, four, I don't know what number it is. It's 6 on page 3. 4, I'm sorry, on page 4, number 6. C, 6. It's all buildings, housing the animals must be at least 100 feet from the property or street boundary.
So that should be 25.
Yeah.
And as Supervisor Cassiola mentioned earlier, the draft ordinance in front of us requires a permit and a fee for that permit to be set by resolution. And I believe the board would like to adjust that so that at the present time, there's no requirement for a permit. But in the future, after this plays out for several months or a year or so, if it deems a permit to be necessary, that the Board of Supervisors at that time can require a permit by resolution.
Bruce is making this here now. Do you have any comments on those suggested changes that the Planning Commission submitted, like the ban on going goats and those 4 things that?
I think it all sounds good.
And just so, for a general rule of thumb, so you can have 6 birds, in layman's term, in your backyard if you meet the minimum requirements to have a coop and a chicken run and meet all the requirements. You can have 4 small animals, which includes miniature and pygmy goats, if you have a half-acre property. And with respect to larger animals, we need 2 acres to have 1 cow, pig, hog, or similar animal. You can get one more cow, pig, etc. if you have an extra acre beyond 2. You can have, if you have 1 acre, you can have a horse, donkey, mule, llama, alpaca, or similar animal. And for 1 acre, you can have 2 sheep, goats, excluding billy goats / buck goats, or similar animals. So that's the general requirements of the ordinance set forth in subsections B and C.
And what is it for chickens? We're going to 6 chickens on, what, a half acre?
It's smaller than that. You just need to have, within the setback requirements, you need to be able to put an 18 square foot coop and a 150 square foot run.
Is there no setback requirement?
10 feet. And that's another thing we could consider. We could do the setback requirement for an accessory structure in the particular zoning district. If you wanted to simplify it, like if an R1 is different than an R2.
No, they're all 10 except in R3, it's 5, so we better keep it at 10.
Keep it 10.
Yeah.
And for a structure holding a larger animal like a horse or a goat, that structure is going to need to be 25 feet away from any property line.
Elizabeth, do you have any comments?
Yeah, we have time to look at her picture, Anna's picture of her house.
She's really impressed with that.
I know not everybody.
She said that's where you live.
I can't-
Oh, yeah.
You know, since you are entering evidence, just for,
Bruce, could you help her with that, please?
can we swear her in too, since she is putting stuff into the record, just for,
These pictures must be official.
Not really.
Really, Chris?
No, we're not going to enter it. I don't think these are going to be the speed of
She
law.
should have showed us for entertainment purposes.
Okay.
It's just for,
Not good enough. Do enough posting.
no, won't go up.
That's it. There was one that didn't have any animals, and I thought it was your husband.
Is that newly built for the animals?
Yeah. Basically, that's it. I mean, we just, we know not everybody's gonna have a structure like that, but,
No.
it's,
You suggested that to be the requirement?
no, I'm not. Just prove a point that, as long as you have them fenced in properly, they're in a locked enclosure, they're
That's
not.
doors.
Covered porch, railing?
Standing seats.
Where's the rocking chair?
Like,
Where's the rocking chair?
Is there air conditioner in that building?
No, there's fans though.
Yeah.
But basically, that's it. Just, our point was, that as long as you have a high enough fence, you keep them locked in the enclosure.
That's a pretty high fence.
They're all kind of locked in.
Is that a typical height for a fence to keep them in? Can they jump a 4 foot?
No,
That looks like 5 foot.
that's actually 6 foot, right?
6.
6 foot. It's a typical, like a dog kennel fence.
So what's the minimum someone should have
bucking goats,
to keep a goat in?
climb a 4 foot
I'd
fence.
say about 4.
I would probably say at least 4, yeah, but I don't think that, jump the fence, I don't know, but ours, I've never tried to jump the fence.
Our goats should be walking on top of the fence, walk across the fence. And those of you who might be concerned about the chickens that you don't yet have, or getting out, flying out of the coop, my mother always cut their wings, which is just really good. Their wing feathers just hurt, but it keeps them from flying away.
If you get those copies of those changes, we're going to consider that the changes we made from the last presentation is not significant enough to require another hearing. I think, as I said earlier, dropping the fees isn't something that would trigger a major change, or if you would add a fee, you have to consider that. Did you get a chance to look at it?
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I mean, I would say
You have to speak up loud enough so we can hear, please.
the only thing that I have any issue with is that the waste storage, it has to be gotten rid of every week. That prevents any kind of, what's the word, I can't think of it, composting.
Because what?
Composting, like you can't do that if you're getting rid of it every week or if you're keeping it in a tight squeeze.
Can't hear you.
Like,
Would you come up here? You might want to question.